Hi, I'm John Fogarty. I'm the treasurer of the diocese. Today, I'm going to share with you some preliminary financial results for 2025 and review with you the preliminary budget for 2026. 2025 has been an excellent year for the diocese from a financial standpoint. Operations are running very close to budget with no significant variances. But the big story are our investments. Our investment portfolio has gained $1.25 million over the last 12 months, ended November 30th. And that's after a 5% distribution of about $800,000 for the same period. But the biggest and most important part of this is that over 10 years, our compounded rate of return has been just shy of 9% net of investment fees. And for the past year, ended September 30th, it was 12.4%. So let's take a look at the preliminary 2026 budget. The total budget for 2026 is $3,247,000. Of that, about 47% of it comes from you, our parishes, with about $1.5 million. This is flat, really, with 25. The investment draw is a little bit up. That's due to the investment performance that we just discussed. And then you'll notice that in 2025, we did not have a transfer from the diocesan fund, but we do of $330 this year to balance the budget. If you'll recall, we sold property and utilized some of those funds to balance the budget in 2025, and that is included in the 732 in the other line. Of course, it looks like there's a substantial increase in the budget here, 6.9% compared with less than 1% from 24 to 25. There is a one-time reason for that, which we're going to discuss on the next slide. Some key changes from the 2025 budget are that, of course, we've had the usual increase in salaries due to cost of living adjustment, which was 2.8% this year. We also had a substantial increase in medical insurance premiums, which I know many of you are familiar with. That's about 7%. We also have extended the canon for congregational vitality to be a full-time position as of mid-year, so that increases compensation costs. But I want to spend a few minutes discussing Chanco. As you'll recall, the property at Chanco is actually owned by the diocese. And we have taken a view that we, as the diocese, should be funding significant maintenance costs there in order to keep the property up. For this coming year, 2026, Chanco management has told us that they know of $15,000 in maintenance costs that they need for us to underwrite. And of course, there may be unknown costs of that nature, and should they arise during the year, we will be back to the executive committee for consideration of funding those. But more importantly, we have a one-time issue here. Unfortunately, the campaign at Chanco did not raise sufficient money to pay off the loan, and that campaign is ending at the end of 2025. The shortfall at this point is estimated to be $168,000, and that loan is due in May of 2026. So what we intend to do is to fund that gap of $168,000 in order to pay off the loan, and the source of those funds will be the property fund. If you'll recall, when Talbot Hall was sold some years ago, property fund was set up, and it was designated by the executive committee for various purposes, one of which was to support property and specifically to support Chanco. So again, this is a one-time charge, and if we removed this amount from the total budget, the increase from 2025 would only be about 1.3%. Moving on, let's take a look at expenses by initiative, by Bishop Susan's initiatives. Congregational development vitality, due to the change to the full-time position there, has increased to about 45% of our expenses. It was 43% last year. Rule of life has declined slightly as an offset to that. The other categories that you see here are pretty much the same as in past years. If we look at expenses by their natural classification, that's an accounting term, but being that as it may, not surprisingly, about half of our costs are salaries and benefits, and that's very much the same as in the past. The other slices of the pie here are all very much the same as the last few years, except for office and property and youth and college. The office and property has increased to 12% of the whole because of the payoff of the Chanco loan. And youth and college has declined a bit, and the reason for that is that we have reduced the amount of the Chanco subsidy from about $190,000 to about $140,000 in 2026. I thought it would be useful to just review who our personnel are, given that we spend half of the budget on compensation and benefits. There are 10 full-time people on the payroll. There are 2, I'd say, about half-time, and then there are 2 who I'd say are very part-time. Of those, of course, we have the bishop, the canon to the ordinary, and the executive assistant. We have canon for formation. We have canon for diversity and transformation, which is a part-time position. The canon for congregational vitality is a new investment in improving our ability to support you in the parishes and to understand the needs of the parishes. We now have a youth and college missioner in place and a very part-time director of vocational ministries. On the more administrative side, we have finance and administration with the director as well as a part-time accountant. We have a director of communications and then a media specialist who assists with that. And very importantly, we have programs and benefits administrator who also takes up the slack on a number of other things. And very importantly, the director of transition ministry. So the point of all of this is to say that all of these positions are covering things that are important for the diocese to provide to you, the parishes. So with that, we'd like to get your thoughts on this preliminary budget. And this is important because the process from this point forward is that at the middle of January, the executive committee will meet and they'll consider this preliminary budget along with your input to it and propose a budget for vote at the convention in February. So just a couple of questions to stimulate some thought here is, how should the diocese improve what it is currently doing? And the flip side of that is, are there things the diocese is doing that you don't think are very valuable to you out in the parishes? And how can the diocese be more effective in supporting the needs of our parishes? So thanks for listening. Hope you'll join us on the listening sessions that are coming up. And if you can't do that, you can certainly give me or Judy Dobson an email with your thoughts or any other member of the staff. Happy New Year.